Hey, welcome everybody to the 40 Finance channel. It's a tough day right now in the market, and it just continues to sink here in the afternoon. In fact, for me, I'm surprised that it just keeps going and going. Maybe I shouldn't be, but NASDAQ, as you look on the board here today, minus 3.3%. Dow's down 2.2%. S&P almost down 3%. So ugly day. You got crude oil at 119 right now. That actually has come down since the market opened, so potentially a good sign there. Gold at $2,000. 10-year at 1.75, and that's coming off of a time a couple weeks ago as well above 2%, and I never really suspected that we'd see a time that it would go back under 2%, considering all the news headlines focused around interest rates. And Bitcoin is under 38,000. So it's just, there's just not a lot of sensibility out there. Sniffs here, how you doing? It's definitely a day for fear-mongering on CNBC, and it's definitely a bad day for panic sellers. Let's see, though, who is winning today. And I haven't looked at this, but I'm going to assume that it is oil stocks. Whoa, not that. 1 second here. I'm going to assume that it is the oil stocks and the defense stocks, but let's look at it together. This is the Yahoo gainers filter that you can use. Sort by market cap, so we get all the big names first and kind of eliminate the penny stocks. Now, this is not in order, so Exxon is at top, but these are all companies that are at least positive today. And you can see the percentage change right here. Looks like in the first dozen or so, Schlumberger up 8%, which, that always reminds me of like the kid who got picked on in high school with a name like that. I think it's also pretty close to that guy in the Office movie who sat in the basement. I forget his name too, but sounds a lot like Schlumberger. What else do we got? Vestas, wind systems, renewable energy is also been a hot topic. What's going on, Lion? Black Andrew, good to see you. When is a time, and I'm sure there's been this time, but when is the last time that renewable energy and oil stocks were climbing at the same day? Right? I like a decent percentage too. But if you listen to the kind of, if you listen to people on Twitter and just little headlines and stuff, you get this bull case for renewables because of what's happening with the war. And that this is the final straw. Everybody's moving to renewables now. We're never going to get caught like this again. And then obviously on the oil side, gas prices going up. So the oil ones I can get. The resurgence and maybes on renewables, that to me is a little fishy. But here we are. So those are the winners, right? And let's see if I missed anything. Here's defense stock, BAE Systems. They're in the UK. I just covered defense stocks on a video that was published yesterday. What else here? Doximity, interestingly enough, that one is on my watch list. It's a I don't want to say it's a social network for doctors, but it is like a portal for doctors. Let's see what their news headline is, in case there's anything new. I haven't dug deep into this one, but I can tell you that it's on my watch list, and it's an interesting one to start reading about. No promises on that, but I thought it was a very intriguing case, especially when it came down. Let's see what our 1 year is. Like everybody else, the high was double what it is today. So take a look at it. Morningstar fair value there of $76. So more or less a healthcare play, healthcare / technology. All right, now let's take a look at the losers, which is pretty much everybody, right? But we'll do the same thing, and we'll sort by market cap. And Microsoft, 279, 52-week low is 225. But again, Microsoft hasn't done anything wrong. There's no one speculating that Microsoft has suddenly stopped producing on the cloud level. Alphabet, Amazon, minus 5%, I think, is at the top of the fangs. Nope, NVIDIA. NVIDIA is leading the FANG downturn if you count them, 6.52%. I think, in my mind, there was a case for NVIDIA under $200. I never really thought I'd see it because of how popular it is, but here we are. And Taiwan Semi, under $100, lucky for me. And I haven't done a portfolio update video in a little bit, mostly because it's depressing, but I'll try to do that this week. But I did actually sell my Taiwan Semi, I think at 115. It wasn't the top. It was off of the top because the top was like 170. But I did start to get nervous about what was happening in the war and what China might do. I started reading all the tinfoil hat stuff, and I started getting nervous that maybe, wow, China might, go get Taiwan now that there's distractions, whatever. So I sold out. I am now open in the semiconductor game, and I am looking for my next target, which quite honestly might be either an ETF or just like TQQQ, if I want to go down in flames, I might do SOXL and just ride the line. There's a lot of opportunities in semiconductors, and it's a really good time to start looking at them if you're ever interested. Facebook, that's depressing. I don't own Facebook individually, but it's part of the Qs, which I do own, and I can't believe, what the upside for Facebook at this level is just absolutely incredible, in my opinion. Visa, I might buy some Visa tomorrow. So if you haven't been following, obviously oil prices plus international tensions. Now we're getting the negative nannies on the travel stocks, big time. So if you were ever interested in Airbnb, Expedia is one that's on my list because it's still, the EPS doesn't exist right now because they're still climbing out of COVID. So Expedia is a potential if you're looking for value, and then Booking Holdings is right there with them. And Booking Holdings probably the most stable out of all of them. But look at travel stocks. Here's Disney. Lion, do you remember when we were joking that you'd never see 130s on Disney again? Well, here we go, right? In fact, dangerously close to the 120s on Disney. So you have to ask yourself, I don't know. I don't have a whole ton of money left, but there is some stuff out here that is just unbelievable. And so Nike 124, that's almost a 52-week low, off by roughly 52 cents, give or take. And then the rest. McDonald's has a ton. I just learned this. That McDonald's has a ton of restaurants in Russia, which are, so they've got a lot of pressure on them. 224. Netflix now, close to 350. Absolutely unbelievable. So depending on how you look at it, and depending on what your time horizon is, everything that's a payment stock, you see American Express here, we talked about Visa, payments, travel, semiconductors. If you have any interest in those stocks, or maybe you missed the opportunities that have been around for a couple years, got to start thinking about it. There's my boy, PayPal. We are now 16 cents, or I guess 18 cents off the 52-week low. It just gets worse and worse every day. And, don't feel too bad if you own PayPal, because I'm right there with you. Starbucks, I know Lion's been looking at Starbucks, or he shared it a couple times. you are 30 cents off of a 52-week low. So there's just so much. There's just so much. And I'm going to get a drink of water here, and then we'll talk to the crew. All right. So Lions got Vladdy Daddy killing the market. Buy Facebook, PayPal, great long-term value. I agree. And these are prices that I expected the bubble to pop to some degree. I'm not surprised that stocks went down in 2022. And actually, it sort of started over Thanksgiving last year. None of the going down surprises me at all. In fact, that's why I started buying more like TQs in January and into February. But now we are getting to a point where even I have to raise my eyebrows. And I feel like this kind of activity in the market, it doesn't make me feel good, but I don't think that we're heading towards some sort of epic collapse of any kind. But geez, these prices, I mean, it's almost getting to the opposite pole of the COVID V-shaped recovery, right? And what I mean by that is, you guys have probably seen the jokes that you could have thrown a dart and picked a winning stock between March of 2020 and in whatever, 8 months later. And now I feel like we're probably getting close to that again, where you can almost throw a dart and win. You can make a case for almost any stock. Like obviously oil and defense are very top heavy right now. They could go on to produce outstanding returns from here. You got to wonder when the top's coming in on that. And oil in particular, from a United States standpoint, it's just a matter of time. And there's a comment in here somewhere. Oh, it's lying, bring back fracking. Like all that stuff is a button push away. Right now, we have a Democratic leadership. They typically don't support those things. But at what point do they just say, it's wartime or whatever? It's international threats. We're just going to go ahead and do it. Not to mention you have the Saudis and how they may be able to assist, perhaps not with the United States, but there might be other ways too. So I would say, the oil trade feels very, very top heavy to me. I'm not in it. And congrats to all those, particularly those who bought in oil during the COVID crash. You're printing now, but I really just don't see the opportunity to jump in right now. Defense, that could still ride for a little bit. If you guys watched my video yesterday, I tried to call out, if you're not familiar with the defense sector, it's very, very contract orientated. So those contracts likely won't start coming in until later in the year. So there's still some boom time with defense stocks, I would say, because right now you have speculation in the market that they'll do well. And then as the year goes on, if what we thought was going to happen happens, like the contracts get signed, defense spending increases, then those headlines will come out, right? It'll say, how about, who are we? Give me a good name here. I'm trying to think of one of them. Archer Daniel, or not Archer Daniels. Why can't I think of my defense stocks right now? I just did a whole thing on them. Anyway, you'll start to see those headlines come out where they're saying like, boom, they just signed $1 million with the government on some missile system or whatever. So, all right. How about Mike Pfister is down 120,000 from December's highs, and it's LOL, and I'm with you, Mike. What else can you do? What else can you do but laugh at it and realize that if it's a good quality company that you're into, it just doesn't feel like it's a good time to sell. Selling doesn't feel like the answer today, not here at the bottom. And we just hope that, we just survive the storm, try to pick off some shares. Because we're still going down in a downward trajectory today. I guess I'm going to wait till tomorrow to buy. I did buy 4 QQQs today. That price is at $325.96 right now. But I'm saving my TQs and Visa probably for tomorrow. See how much farther down it goes. But there's a lot of stuff in there, and I would say in particular semiconductors is interesting. Dow is only up 4.5% year over year. And I was thinking to myself today while we saw this meltdown, so all the SPY owners who were doing dunks on Twitter and stuff because of, the simplicity and effectiveness of their strategies. So at the end of the year, so this is a 1-year chart. What's their year to date? So their year to date is off, 50 some odd dollars. And they're at the level that they were at in June. Yeah, roughly June of 2021. So if you go back to January and think about the people that were like, I just do SPY and VTI and total stock market, and I crushed it last year. And some of us who own individual stocks, not so hot, right? Or certainly in my case. And you're like, man, the SPY beat us. But here we are today. And the SPY's still winning, I would say, from a comparable standpoint, but it's not, the gains, you're down $50, $60 a share, so it's not like it's been the safest trade ever. And that's what I put on the board today for the title of this, the safest stocks. I don't think it's oil. I think in the short term it is, definitely. I think defense is relatively solid. I don't know if I would add here because there's so much money going into it, but certainly, well worth holding. And then from there, what are you going to buy? Gold? There's an argument for that because gold the demand for it could run. I'm not a huge gold investor. In fact, I'm a no gold investor. And if you look at the past, 10 years, it hasn't exactly been the best return on investment. However, you're going to see the gold resurrection. I have no doubt that the proliferation of YouTube gold channels will skyrocket here shortly. I'm sure that the YouTube oil channels have certainly pumped up. And I read a lot of opinions on Twitter. I'm not super active on it, but I like to just scan through. And geez, the newly found oil hounds just cannot get out of their own way to pump and dump on that front. All right, and Mike also wants to have the printing machine come back. It'll be interesting. Powell's next week, I think. And I don't know that a lot changes there, and I don't know what his incentive is to change much past 0.25%. I think that just the world is open for more, and 0.25% isn't going to change gas prices, but the price of gas is not directly correlated to the inflation concerns that we have, right? It is in some ways, but we have an oil crisis right now with Russia and how much they ship to different places and who's cutting off supply and just an increase in demand. So don't get oil, I would say don't get oil confused with inflation after a certain percentage point, right? So let's just say inflation is 7%. The first 7 to 10% of oil prices going up would be related to inflation. The rest of it is Russia fear. So there's two, and that's why I don't know what gets better, how much better oil gets at this point, because there's two forces pushing on it, and as soon as one or the other comes off, then I think prices stabilize. They won't be the same price that we had 12 months ago, but it's not going to continue to go up out of the blue. All right, adding Facebook and CRM. This is Sergio. Good to see you, and watching Microsoft here as well. Yeah, I think Microsoft's closer to, I think the last time I did like a fair value on them, it was weird. It was like 275. So even, and Apple's been untouched. Well, I shouldn't say that until I look at the screen here. But, well, you got into the 150s. Year-to-date low. Oh, that's the year-to-date low, give or take. 150.30. Now you're at 159. Or it was 159.22 back in January. So Apple, probably the most resilient stock in all of the market. But, you know, if you ever want to talk about fair value, you know, Morningstar has them at 130. I've said time and time again that very hard to project fair value from Apple. I've learned my lessons over the past 2 years because the stock buybacks are the only thing that you can predict is that they will do them. And to the scale that they will do them is anyone's guess, and that tends to protect the price of the stock. I started to say Microsoft. 278. That's a year-to-date low. 1 year. Last big notable dip prior to the current one was September 30th at 281. Now, Morningstar has fair value of 352. The only thing I've ever argued with Microsoft, but it's not worth arguing because they're winning the scoreboard, is forward PE of 32, not even close to what we saw pre-COVID. You know, so that's, you know, there's a warning sign there, but I've come to the realization with Apple and Microsoft that, you know, it doesn't, I don't know how much it matters to say it when they keep winning on the scoreboard. And so I would anticipate that they will continue to win. And Microsoft, of course, is a big part of the Qs, and I'm happy to have my tiny slice of them through there. All right, Kevin Hawthorne, good to see you. Lion says Babylon B, who I don't see. Oh, Biden sells Alaska back to Russia. It took me a second to figure out you're joking. Biden sells Alaska back to Russia so we can start drilling for oil there again. That would be hilarious, but I don't think, in all like seriousness, if that would ever come up, you know, nobody wants Russia to own anything on this side of the world. If there's one thing that Canada and the United States can feel somewhat good about is that all of, you know, they've got to fly over the ocean before they get here. That tends to give you a little bit of time to prepare. Hopefully we won't have to worry about that. Should have just held on to cash. Yeah, everyone feels that way. I think the most important thing for all of us is to figure out how to get some more. So I looked today and I got about $5,000 left for whatever it is happens. And then from there, I'm going to have to start selling kidneys and stuff. I also have to still get through my year-end tax return here in the United States. And that's always anxious because you don't know, the way my tax return is, you don't know exactly what you're going to owe. And then you have quarterly payments on top of it, which is a calculation of what you think you'll make in 2022. It's not, there's some, you guesstimate what it'll be by looking at a few things, but you never really know until, you know, you've pressed the final button. And those quarterly taxes, so for example, those could go, if I was doing quarterly taxes in the call it $5,000 range, if you overstepped what you predicted you're gonna make last year, then you will get a calculation that pushes you into like 7,000 or 8,000 this year, which is a lot. You got to pay the government first, or else you might as well not even have stocks. But why are we looking into 52-week minimums and maximums and not on the intrinsic value? So Tuberero, I was just doing that for example. So if you're new to the channel, I typically do look at fundamentals. For me, it was just kind of something to pick off because it's unbelievable how things are going. Black Andrew says, besides the Qs, any other index funds? No, semiconductors, besides SOX. So, you know, there's a big case for, as much as I'm in the Qs, there's a one good case for the SPY, and that would be, of course, that it has banks and it has oil stocks. Now, besides that, I would not personally be in total stock market index. I don't know how much Russia exposure is or was there, but you know, if you're going to go off to the side and try to bet on a specific sector, I mean, you could. There was a defense ETF. I think it was ITA. Assume that's up today. Oh, actually down today. Sorry. Right here. Surprisingly down today. This one is intriguing, but you have to predict the future of what happens and how much longer this goes in. On the defense stock video yesterday, I talked about it. That's why it's sort of fresh in my mind, that this one has Boeing, which technically is a laggard for an ETF, but I think long-term with Boeing looks good. So this would be another one. And I don't know if it exists, but I like the most recent opportunity in travel. Let me see if I can find a travel ETF. Might have to look on Google for that one. It's going to be in consumer discretionary. Actually, that's another one. Let's go back because I'm familiar with those. So I own in my IRA the IYC. Now this is United States Consumer Discretionary. And one of the big things here, hopefully it shows up, is they have a ton of travel. Now it's not showing that, but either way, I like almost all of these companies. Amazon, Home Depot, Walt Disney, Comcast, I could probably do without. Walmart, Costco, McDonald's, tons of people getting hit here. Let me see if I can find the IYC ETF. Let's see if Google will take us there. All right, so there's iShares and holdings. And we're sorted by weight. Got Nike in there. There it is. Booking Holdings, 1.61%. You know, call Uber a travel stock because when travel's doing well, Uber's going to do well. Marriott, Hilton, Expedia. So those are some good ones. Southwest Airlines. And when I say good ones, I say travel's getting crushed. Now let me show you another consumer discretionary XLY. This, I believe, is Vanguard. No. It is Spider. Okay, go away. There we go. Here's their top holdings. Very similar. You got to download today's holdings. Let's see if it'll show up on the screen. I don't think so. See, it wants to open in a different, wants to open in my Excel screen, which I won't bore you with my attempts to figure that out. But it's very similar. If I remember the last time I looked at it, it had a little bit more of things like Tesla and stuff like that. So consumer discretionary is going to give you a nice chunk of travel. And again, for me, it doesn't sound like it now. It sounds crazy, but I still believe in American consumer, and I still believe that the world is ready for a bounce back, particularly in America with spending. And I don't think, in my opinion, that as much as we've been locked down, that people are going to pass on their travel plans. Now, maybe they pass traveling to Europe, perhaps, or something like that. But I think the travel industry in the United States, as well as the event industry, are going to be very, very strong. And there's a lot of incentive for the U.S. government to make sure that they are very, very strong. So we'll see what happens. So that's for you, Andrew. If I was going to pick something besides Q's, I would go consumer discretionary. SPY if you're super nervous and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen technology. I don't want to put all my dollars there. Then the SPY has financials, and it also has oil stocks. So that would be the safer of the index funds. I like that it's top 500, so whatever that's worth. Lions in with, he got a couple in there. SCHD, ARK, and SPY. I don't know SCHD, so let's bring that one up. Just for my own curiosity. Here's NASDAQ finished minus 3.62. SCHD. Oh, dividend stocks. Yep. That's a good call. Make sure they're in your retirement account, though. Tax, tax protected, or else you pay, you pay tax money on the dividends. But I think I have this one, VYM, in my retirement account. But what's the difference? They're probably all very similar. You can stack them against each other. But either way, you're looking for the promise of income, right? Alrighty. Sniff, I'm about to sell $15,000 gold coins to buy a Bitcoin. And some people will laugh at you for that, but it wouldn't surprise me if that ends up being the better play. I mean, why not? The only thing that my 2 cents for you, Sniff, is just keep watching gold for a couple more days, because I feel like it's getting some huge momentum, and you hate to lose, a couple $100 an ounce just by doing it on Monday instead of Tuesday. But Bitcoin and them are down today. Let me go to Coin Market Cap. 38,000, a little bit of now you're down to 37. Ethereum at 2,500. These are the ones that I follow. So this is not exactly in market cap order. USD coin, I told you guys I bought 100 shares of that, waiting to see if Voyager pays the interest that they promise. And then the Voyager token, which I should do a video about too, there's an opportunity there for the right person. So if you want to play those sort of private coins where you get big rewards for buying into them, I have 100 shares of this. And again, I'm waiting until next month to make sure that they pay out the rewards that they promise. But so far, so good. And from a price perspective, this one is down significantly. Does being down mean that it's on sale, though? That's the one that's very hard to answer. I can't believe, frankly, that Bitcoin is down today in this in this world. It seems to make perfect sense that Bitcoin would be a utility of some point in this environment, at least on the international level. The only speculation that I have of why it would be down is perhaps, just like the bubble, we could have had, with Bitcoin, maybe there's this 20-25%, call them the paper hands, that were in this that are still trickling out quickly, right? And they're leaving faster than the utility players, such as perhaps Russians and stuff, are buying in. So that's the only thing I can figure. I can visualize, and I'm philosophizing here, right? This is not your best bet for a Bitcoin channel. I'm philosophizing that there's tons of paper handlers in Bitcoin. They are on their way out, and we don't yet have enough hardcore asset holders slash folks who will use it to transact financially. And so that base, the solid foundation, isn't quite there. So let's just say the transactors or the asset holders, let's say that they're at this level, if I can use hands here, at X level of a foundation of all the holders, right? That's only going up a tiny, tiny bit. Meanwhile, the paper handlers and the speculators are coming down much more quickly. Pure random dart throw theory on my end, but I could see it. DH is in, looking at Affirm. Yeah, I mean, everything's a good deal right now. Affirm's off my radar because they're not profitable. And I'm trying to stay in that lane while all these stocks are on sale. Jimbo bought more Amazon and Google. I don't see how that goes wrong over the long term, so congratulations. Derek's here. Hope everyone bought today. You'll be glad in a couple years. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. We're going to get rich from today. I love it. And honestly, too, like, I'm in with Derek as far as, trying to pepper in, man. We are in a weird spot right now where some of us, including myself, look back to the COVID crash. I didn't buy anything till early April. So if the final nail in the dip was maybe March 13, 15, something like that, I didn't buy until the first couple weeks of April. And so I missed the dip of the dip. But then, and I went very slowly in. Now, with this particular situation, I think that the valuations are much more transparent of a company than they were in COVID when you weren't sure who's going to make money doing exactly what. Now I think it's pretty obvious how certain people are going to make money. And the countries that have been taken out of the equation, Russia and Ukraine, neither one of those is on my map of investable assets, right? So I don't buy anything with the intent that Russia's a growing economy, and my bull thesis is based on that. I'm mostly USA. So to me, the valuation standard is much more transparent. Lions in with Alibaba, Facebook, PayPal, going all in on those three. You certainly can't argue the value play there. Vicky's here. Good time to buy on gold. Winner of Microsoft and Google or buy ETFs. Market will bottom in the next 7 days. I'm out on gold, but you're not the only one who sees that, Vicky, so I don't blame you. Derek says, buy Facebook, Google, call it a day. Now's not the time to get cute. It's probably right. And I agree with, no matter what your stock pick is, as far as not the time to get cute. We said for a minute there about Affirm. I was kicking around like both Expedia and Disney technically don't have EPSs right now. They're projected to. The bottom line is, there's a lot to be said for just having Microsoft, Google, Facebook, who have already proven themselves with double-digit earnings per share. So yeah, maybe it's not smart to go too far past the safety zone, and that's why I'm doing Qs right now, which, by the way, finished at 324. Here we go. I'm going to tell you guys what's important about this. 323 after hours. That represents pretty darn near close. So 401 was the first trading day, January 3rd. So 20% off of January 3rd is 380-ish, right? We're not quite there at minus 20%, but we're certainly close. Really, really, really hard to imagine this one goes to, call it 315, 310. And however, if it does, I would even argue in this particular position, it's really hard to say that it's a bad investment for the long term, particularly. Yeah, long-term value. Lion, God bless you. All three are stocks for middle terms. Okay, I missed that one. I'm missing that whole conversation, but anyway. Sergio is also adding Baba. What did they end up at today? I would feel worse for Alibaba holders, except I'm a PayPal holder, and we could. I would love to hang out with these guys at a bar and talk about talk about worst pain of the year, because we're both up there. 98, not that bad of a drop. I mean, it was 2%, right? Just 2%. On the flip side, Facebook was minus 6%. PayPal had to be 5 to 6%, didn't it? Yeah, 6% on PayPal, down to 93. All you can do is get excited about these prices or get out of the game. That's just it. You're either excited about these valuations. It's everything in every book has ever told you about long-term investing. And if you're not excited about it, then you're in the wrong game, and you either need to log off, right, and not look at things for a while, or maybe the stock market isn't for you. So, that's kind of the way it goes. If Putin stops the invasion tomorrow, how high do you think the markets would go? That's great. Probably, I would say an easy 10%. It would take a while for stuff to go through there, but I'm talking 10% on the SPY, 10% on the Qs, 10% on you name it. Absolutely. Whoa, Vicky's calling Baba at 80 in 6 weeks. That's a tough one. 21, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. What do you think about lithium stocks? So that's a commodity. I don't know of a ton of them except for the big miners, but let's see if we can find. This is one way to find the big dogs. Global X Lithium. Look for an ETF and make the broad assumption that the ETF knows who the best plays are. Albemarle. How are they doing in this? They must be the largest mining operation. And gee whiz, I'm shocked to see this. 170. I haven't studied this company in a while, but this is a commodity play on the mining front. For all I know, all their mines are in Russia, but this is an intriguing value in the wake of not just lithium, but commodity prices. So I'd have to dig in more. Let me see if they got any negative headlines. Motley Fool. I don't see anything here that says, Russia conflict affects Albemarle. Yeah. In fact, I'm adding this one to my watch list right now, because I'm shocked to see this one down still year to date. I just haven't studied enough to say how high potentially it ran up. That's probably the best I got on lithium stocks. So these are foreign investments, and I wouldn't want to comment because I just don't know anything about them. You did mention LTHM, Livent Corporation. No EPS, so it's not one for me right now. Does it have any coverage? Projected to hit 59 cents and potentially plus 30% growth. So that's promising. So I gotta check my messages. The big thing I would say with anything that's a mining company is sorry, that's the fan. it's all about the price of what they're mining. It's bottom line. Go look at gold miners in history, and some of them have been the biggest scams. I'm not saying this one is. But what I would do when we are looking at Albemarle, you can go in Livent, get a feel for how they're trading, and then compare it to this guy, because you'll have a long historical track record and just see how out of range it all is. That would just be my 2 cents there. Let's see. Let me skip down and get a couple new ones. Adam Cooper, what's your thoughts on Magnite now that it has a... I love Magnite. Adam Cooper, I bought more. I'm still in the red, but they just go through their news feed. I love it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best buy in this current conditions, but it is underloved, absolutely for sure. And if you're into the ad tech sector, it's a dart throw, absolutely for sure, to think about. And the fact that you can get 100 shares for $1,000, they are not profitable right this second, but it is projected to be so this year. I already own this stock prior to 2022, so I'm giving myself a free pass on them, DraftKings and Palantir, to, even though they're technically not profitable, I will, days like today, I didn't today, but, I'll add 10 shares here, 10 shares there. And then, Adam, you're asking about apps as well. I don't own this one, but it's one that, you want to talk about some fundamental strength. For a stock that is just getting crushed this year. These guys are making money, and they're certainly have to be in the conversations for an acquisition target. So I don't mind apps. I think people, just like Magnite, and I was a sucker for some of it on Magnite too, the ad tech sector ran up so high that expectations are super high, but it's not a bad one at all, and I would certainly consider it if I had infinite resources, but I have to stick to my game, me personally. Terracina should buy more PayPal, Facebook, Intel. Should you buy? I don't see how you go wrong, Terracina, with those 3 names right now. I haven't looked at Intel in a little bit. I like the long story on them. INTC. Yeah, they're not doing too bad. They're not getting crushed. But yeah, so for me personally, as far as stocks that I like, I'm not, I'm not buying much more than a couple shares each day, because it's hard to tell how much farther this thing breaks down. But should you buy more if you believe in the company? Absolutely. I think there's a ton of undervalued stocks, and the key is to make sure you always have a little dry powder. And for me, that means really just boiling down to buying 1 or 2 shares, man, because I've been putting a lot of money in, and I'm getting to the end, the foreseeable end anyway. Andrea, I kind of like Micron. I like Micron. I'm just going to leave it at that. I like the chip sector as a whole. I think Micron is underloved. I haven't looked at them in a couple weeks. I almost bought them twice last year, but I didn't, and it has nothing to do with Micron, why I didn't buy them. It had to do with the way the market appreciates Micron, in which case it doesn't. It just does not appreciate it, and I don't know why, but they're doing great things. $9 EPS, which I can't imagine would be impacted too much from at least the Russia situation. You'd have to double check on that. And you got a dividend in here as well. You got double-digit revenue growth. Where's this dividend? I mean, it's a small dividend, but it's there. So I like Micron. Danny says, darn Baba broke under 100. Yeah, I say the same thing about PayPal. Do you think PayPal will go back up? I bought it at 103. I don't think you're going to lose major money, V8 spams. There's a certain level while it's trading at a forward PE. So I did this on my worst case scenario with PayPal. Right now, they came out in Q1 and for their Q4 report, and they said 465 EPS projection for this year. PayPal said that, not a stock market website. Okay, so they're closing off Russia and such, like Visa is and everybody else. So just for fun today, I was thinking about it. I was like, well, what's $4 EPS? So 90, let's just pretend it's $100. 100 divided by 4 is a forward PE of 25, which is right in line with the lowest that PayPal has traded historically. So $100 mark, and now you're under that at 93. I'm very shocked if you would lose a ton of money, but that is a risk with any individual stock, right? How about most of us in this chat room think Google is one of the best buys right now. Google has risks. Most people think it's probably the U.S. government with regulation, but Google has plenty of risks. It just, will it happen or not? I don't think so with Google, but I don't think so with PayPal either. And there's other people that would argue against that. For my money, though, I think it's safe, certainly at $93. Tessina says, Facebook a good buy at current price? I believe so. And I believe so in the sense of optionality at 187. What they could do in the future makes them more attractive than some of the other FANG names at 187. For the record, I will say I think Google is the best deal on the market right now. That's just my 2 cents. I do not own it directly, but it's one of many reasons, Facebook included, that I'm buying into the Qs. So individual stock, if my mom said I have to buy a stock tomorrow, here's my money, and it has to be an individual name, I would buy Google with that money. All right, mark it down. We have a beer. Either way, it's a win-win. I agree. Fisk is not buying Chinese stocks. Neither do I typically. Crocs, we've had a couple of people ask about Crocs in the last live stream, and it looks solid. It certainly looks like a deal. I would be looking for Crocs. I think my resolution was in the last live stream, but I just want to make sure that they have another market to grow on, right? So where are they? We know medical is doing well. I assume youth and children and whatever are doing fine. What is another market to take the next step for Crocs? They bought a shoe, some sort of shoe brand, and I'd like to know a little bit more about where that's going. But fundamentally, when we looked at it, it looks like a solid play. Make sure you feel good about their growth prospects going forward. Lamb Research from Great Stock Vortex, and they are in semis, which I think are all on sale right now. So 488. Sorry, I'll put it on the screen here. They are in semis, right? Let me double check. Yeah, semiconductor processing equipment. Year to date, 725 down to 489. You've got Morningstar fair value of 720. You have a PE of 15 that's not even updated after today. $32 EPS. I mean, put every semiconductor company within reason on a dartboard right now and throw a dart, and I think you make money from where we are today. And it's just getting absolutely destroyed, the whole industry. ClickCrate wants to know wants a favor here for Morningstar price. I'll do it for you. Check out Yahoo Finance Premium. Also, there you go. Click 130. Also down in the description is my Seeking Alpha affiliate offer. If you guys are interested, save some money. It's another website that I highly recommend, and Yahoo Finance Premium is a sponsor of this channel, so shout out to them as well. All right, I got to start wrapping it up. How about, so Derek, I sold out of TSM at about 115 because of what you just wrote. I got nervous. I got nervous when Russia started, and I took a gain. I can't remember that it was a ton, but it was something. It was like plus maybe $20 a share ish. So yeah, I got out. I don't have time for companies whose worlds are going to get taken over. And Terracina, thanks for your reply. What do you think about coin? Coin, if you like Bitcoin and crypto, I think it's also a fair deal. And I don't know the other ones on your list. TD.TO, touchdown for Terrell Owens. That's what I think about when I saw that. Toronto Dominion Bank. Jesus, Lion, you're killing me. You know I can't help you here. Here's what Yahoo says. So that's a hell of an EPS. $7. We know financials don't trade very high from a PE standpoint. Forward, I'd say it's in line with what we've seen historically, maybe a couple points higher. Price to sales a little bit higher. I just don't do banks, any banks. So I bank a lot at PNC. I also use Ally for trading. I don't own any of them. But, you know, this is why you do buy banks. Because just like your savings account, most of them offer a nice dividend like this. And depending on if they're buying back shares or whatever they're doing, I mean, this is kind of what banks do, right? This is pre-COVID that I'm looking at. It's a 5-year chart. March of 17, you're at 66. Before the COVID crash, you're at 75. And the whole time you get this, 3.61%, you know, give or take on average. And I would say this looks pretty good. Recent earnings reports, financials, you know, that chart's going in the right direction. You got to take out 2020. So yeah, if you like it, Lion, then I like it. All right, guys, I got to run. It's getting to be dinner time here in Ohio, but hopefully everybody's hanging in there. Man, don't sell. Just don't sell your good names, right? If you got Home Depot and Google, don't sell. It will get better. And if you're buying, buy quality, big time quality, buy EPS, buy earnings per share. That's my motto anyway. And, you know, ETFs offer a lot of safety to the downside if you're worried about the downside. But anyway, I appreciate everybody coming out. Hope you're having a better night than day in the stock market. And we'll see you soon. I'll have another video probably tomorrow. So talk to you then. Take it easy.